So, if you've lived any length of time, you've developed many relationships, some good, some bad, most just kind of in the middle there. A lot of people just go through our life and don't touch us so deeply. And some aren't necessarily bad, but they're disappointing. They're not what they could have been. And you live with it. It is what it is. Everybody's not going to love you, and you're not going to love everybody. So what happens when you go to the funeral and the eulogy doesn't fit the person? They stand up to eulogize and you hear, oh, they were so wonderful, they were so selfless, they were there for me when I needed them, they embraced me with open arms, their door was always open. And what happens when all that was true for them, but it was never true for you? This person did not embrace you with open arms. They did not extend the warm welcome. Of course, you have to understand that funerals you kind of have to take with a grain of salt because emotions are running very high. And a lot of people seem to get canonized over their celebration of life or funeral or whatever you want to call. And that's fine. But it can be a real source of cognitive disconnect if this person really was never very nice to you, did not welcome you. And you sit and you look around at these other people, wailing and gnashing teeth and beating their breast, and you're thinking, am I even at the right funeral? Sometimes it's almost like that. I really don't know if there's an answer to this. We all have broken relationships. We all have relationships that just went awry. Maybe it started okay, but then circumstances conspired. The fact is, there are a lot of people who are the victim of their circumstances. They probably meant well. They probably weren't bad people at heart. But sometimes they might have a hard time relating to you. And I always like to think of that bumper sticker to the effect that the one similarity in all your unsatisfying relationships is you. So if this happens, you really kind of have to look at yourself. Are you high conflict with a lot of people, or was this just kind of an aberration? You and this person, you just weren't kindred spirits, and that happens. If you mostly get along with most people with very little conflict, then it was probably that. But look at yourself carefully. This might be a good time to reflect. If you realize that a lot of people at work hate you, and a lot of your neighbors hate you, and your children's friends, parents kind of cringe when they see you coming, and dogs bark at you, and you just have a lot of fighting in the family, it doesn't hurt to look at your role in all this. I feel like there are some people in the world who just have a lot of bad luck, and they try to reach out to people for whatever reason. It just doesn't work. They're just not able to form the relationships. But I think that most people, most of the time, should be able to get along with most of the people most of the time. And I'm saying this for myself too, that if I find myself all of a sudden seeming to conflict with a lot of people, I'll look at myself. I'm like, okay, am I acting differently? Am I a little bit pissy? Am I carrying a chip on my shoulder? Maybe I am. But I think that sometimes it's a good time for reflection. And back to the funeral, everybody's emotions are raw. Even if they didn't particularly like the deceased, there might have been the sensation of wistfulness, like what could have been. So yeah, sometimes the eulogy doesn't fit the person. Sometimes the eulogy doesn't fit your experience of the person. And again, I don't really have like a big answer for this. It was just something I've been using on, and I thought I'd put it out there. And anyhow, thank you very much for being patient and bearing with me through the long ramble. And you have a nice day and a nice weekend. Bye.